Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, how is everyone doing tonight? Welcome to Surreal Sundays. I'm your host, Old School X at 9, and tonight we got a banger. We got a banger. Couple things going on in the world. Karmelo Anthony, a young man um, in Frisco, Texas. Um, that's in the Dallas area, I believe. He deleted a Edomite man, or Edomite boy. Um, they got into a argument or disagreement about seating, and it ended up in the Edomite being stabbed. Now it's a growing racial debate, and of course the fellow Edomites as a whole don't see their hypocrisy as usual, as usual. So we got that coming up, and then we got a young lady, London Thomas, in the city of Detroit. She ended up missing, um, and some things have came out of that, and what have you. So we're gonna jump into that story as well. A teenager dealing being in a situation that was too grown for her to begin with. Okay, we got that. We got this week's tidbits in health, um, and then we got the hot video. All right. So without further ado, let's get it.
You are now listening to some old school shit.
All right, all right, all right. Yeah, yeah. What's going on, fam? What's happening with everybody? Let's go ahead and check out the chat before we jump into everything. What's going on? What's going on? A-Team, what's happening? A-Team is in the house. Let's check it out. A-Team. want to pull up her. A-Team is in the house. What's up, A-Team? Peace and blessings to you. Curry Joe, what's happening, bro? What's going on? Salute to you, brother. Curry Joe got a short for me, a short name for me. E9. That's my new nickname. E9. Thank you, Corey Joe. Appreciate that. E9. All right, who else? I saw somebody. Almond Eyes. Almond Eyes. What's going on? What's happening, Almond Eyes? How are you doing tonight? Yeah. All right, let's get this music going. You know how I do. Let's get the music going. I really need to find some automated controls. Gotta find the music. Gotta find the music. Gotta find the music control. All right. All right, we got the music control. So, all right, so let's jump right into it. We got a couple videos for Karmelo Anthony. We got a couple of videos to go through. Gonna be a little lengthy. We got a lot of material to get into. So let's hop right into it, all right? Okay, while I get that fixed, trying to get that fixed, there we go. All right. All right, here go the video.
At Hobby Airport here in Texas, in Houston. Statement so far. So here's what we know. Southwest Airlines flight 3006 landed safely at William P. Houston Hobby Airport this morning after returning due to a reported engine issue. So you can see there the passengers from this flight. The crew followed procedure, they say, and assisted all day. The story that everyone's been talking about now for about 2 weeks now is this case out of Frisco, right? The parents of the 17-year-old Texas student, Karmelo Anthony, accused of killing Austin Metcalf at a track meet, spoke this morning. So let's take a look at some of the video here. So this comes just days after Karmelo Anthony's release from jail on a $250,000 bond, where he was placed on house arrest. Now the judge was asked to lower that bond and complied. Now remember, this all stems from a stabbing earlier this month where Anthony allegedly stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in the heart in a fight over where he was sitting. Now I should also mention Metcalf has a twin brother, and his twin brother was there as well and witnessed the whole thing. Now, Karmelo Anthony is claiming self-defense after Metcalf physically went after him. Now, Jeff Metcalf, Austin's father, refused to leave the public press conference until police escorted him out here this morning. And the family's pastor addressed that issue first and then went on to criticize the family's GoFundMe account. So right now, let's take a listen to Karmelo's mom, though.
My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas, searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in the legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
You heard the mother of Karmelo Anthony, and earlier this morning, anchor Melissa Wilson spoke with Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico about the self-defense argument here and the bond given to Karmelo Anthony.
What is your thought when you hear something like this, that his bond was lowered?
Well, it was probably the right thing to do. Under Texas law, the judge looks at several factors, the prior criminal history of the defendant, his ties to the community, and things like that. And when the judge looked at those factors in this case, they all weighed in favor of reducing the bond from $1 million. And the defense asked for $150,000. The judge reduced it to $250,000, put an ankle monitor on, and put him on home confinement. And he has to call in and talk to the bailiff in the courtroom every Friday.
And we heard from his family, and they kept repeatedly saying, look, we have ties to Frisco. He's not a flight risk. Right. He's never done anything wrong before and been in trouble with the law. Did that play into part of it?
All of that. And all of that ties directly to the factors laid out in the Code of Criminal Procedure and case law that says these are the things that the judge looks at in determining what the amount of bond should be. Bond under the 8th Amendment, bond cannot be used as an instrument of oppression. In other words, we can't make it so high that the defendant can never get out of jail.
One thing that's come out of all of this is we found out in the very beginning that Anthony asked officers, can I be in trouble because I feel like this was self-defense? And he asked them, could this be self-defense? What do we know about this? We understand it was a seating issue, a misunderstanding. What have you found out about it?
So he was at a high school track meet, and at a high school track meet, every team, every high school sets up a tent, and their players sit under their tent during the meet, so they're not just sitting out in the sun. Anthony was in another high school's tent, sitting under the tent, and the victim came in and said, "You need to get out of our tent." And Anthony said, "Put your hands on me and see what happens." And the kid grabbed him to put him out of the tent, and he produced a knife out of his backpack and stabbed him. And so I think that the defense is going to be that when he grabbed him, he had a right at that point to defend himself. Under self-defense, if you feel that your life is in danger or you're about to be hurt, you have the right to use defense, including deadly force, to defend yourself. The question is going to be what amount of force was necessary at that time to defend himself.
Now, is that where the stand your ground law applies?
Correct. And understand your ground, you have the right to stay right where you are and defend yourself if certain factors are in play. Did you have a legal right to be where you were, and were you in fear of your life?
What about having a weapon on school grounds? That seems to be a problem. Usually, at most schools, I don't know, there are all kinds of notifications that you can't have anything. But usually, I think it says firearms, not necessarily a knife.
Well, I don't know that a knife was allowed at that time where he was. I don't know that that's going to be necessarily a defeating factor with respect to self-defense. We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now, based on what I believe, let's go back and see if we can get his credentials before I make shit up. Hold on.
Of Karmelo Anthony, and earlier this morning, anchor Melissa Wilson spoke with Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritic.
Legal analyst, Chris. Based on what legal analyst Chris said, he said that Karmelo Anthony was underneath another team's tent, and the other young man confronted him. Okay. Now, I want you to understand this on my positions and my direction on things, how I look at stuff. One of my main motives, one of my main ideas, one of the main things that I would like to try to accomplish with this show is to bring out, what if we just followed the law? And in this moment, I would like to bring out, in quotes, what if we just followed the law? Not only the laws of the land, but when I say follow the law, I'm talking about the laws of the Bible. What if we just followed the law? Well, what law am I talking about? Matthews 5:25, agree with thy adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. The main part of this is agree with thine adversary quickly. agree with thine adversary quickly. What we basically have is two hotheads. We basically have two hotheads, two young men being young men. When we agree with thy adversary quickly, we can minimize and de-escalate confrontation. We can abate or altogether eliminate any chance of ourselves acting more than necessary emotionally, manifesting into something physically that we cannot take back. What if we just follow the law? We can remove ourselves, prevent ourselves, keep ourselves out of a lot of bullshit that we find ourselves in. What if he just followed the law? He would be at home playing Xbox or PS, what number are they on? PS 9000, Xbox 1200. Chopping it up with his family, and the Edomite boy doing the same thing. Okay? So that's one of the things that I'm going to start bringing out more and more with situations that we find ourselves in. What law applies? What biblical law applies to that situation? And what if we just follow the law? Okay? I'm going to go ahead and take myself back out of this, finish up this video.
Go about the self-defense argument here and the bond given to Karmelo Anthony.
What is your thought when you hear something like this, that his bond was lowered?
Well, it was probably the right thing to do. Under Texas law, the judge looks at several factors, the prior criminal history of the defendant, his ties to the community and things like that. And when the judge looked at those factors in this case, they all weighed in favor of reducing the bond from $1 million. And the defense asked for $150,000. The judge reduced it to $250,000, put an ankle monitor on, and put him on home confinement. And he has to call in and talk to the bailiff in the courtroom every Friday.
And we heard from his family, and they kept repeatedly saying, look, we have ties to Frisco. He's not a flight risk.
Right.
He's never done anything wrong before and been in trouble with the law. Did that play into part of it?
All of that. And all of that ties directly to the factors laid out in the Code of Criminal Procedure and case law that says these are the things that the judge looks at in determining what the amount of bond should be. Bond, under the 8th Amendment, bond cannot be used as an instrument of oppression. In other words, we can't make it so high that the defendant can never get out of jail.
One thing that's come out of all of this is we found out in the very beginning that Anthony asked officers, can I be in trouble because I feel like this was self-defense? And he asked them, could this be self-defense? What do we know about this? We understand it was a seating issue, a misunderstanding. What have you found out about it?
So he was at a high school track meet, and at a high school track meet, every team, every high school sets up a tent, and their players sit under their tent during the meet, so they're not just sitting out in the sun. Anthony was in another high school's tent, sitting under the tent, and then the victim came in and said, you need to get out of our tent. And Anthony said, put your hands on me and see what happens. And the kid grabbed him to put him out of the tent, and he produced a knife out of his backpack and stabbed him. And so I think that the defense is going to be that when he grabbed him, he had a right at that point to defend himself. Under self-defense, if you feel that your life is in danger or you're about to be hurt, you have the right to use defense, including deadly force, to defend yourself.
Now, in Michigan, you can't carry a blade no longer than either is 2.5 inches or 3 inches, right? Um, I don't believe I think, well, I know the 2.5 inch wouldn't do that type of damage. Maybe the 3 inch. But y'all, these boys is at a track meet. So based on my understanding right now, we'll dig a little deeper with the videos, and maybe some other information will come out of it. But from my recollection, unless they're on a neutral track, a neutral field that is not associated with any school, typically at a high school level or collegiate level, when you're on the track or field, you're on school property. Um, in Michigan, schools are drug-free zones and weapon-free zones. As a CPL holder, I cannot be on school property in that capacity with my pistol. I can be there to pick up my child with it on me, but I cannot be on school grounds, stay on school grounds for a time and what have you. If I'm have my pistol on me, I'm I'm going to the school and to pick up the child. I'm still in kind of a common space, so to speak, and then I'm gone. If I enter the school, it has to be off my person. If I'm on school grounds in this capacity, on the football field, on the track, it has to be off of my person. The only people who are allowed that privilege is officers. And there are provisions to get a higher CPL and what have you. I haven't entertained that, so I don't know the particulars. What are you doing with a knife? As we come to find out that this young man, both young men, are excellent student athletes. They do their thing in the books, they do their thing on the field, in the sports. Typically, those who have occupied their times with books and balls. That didn't sound right, did it? Normally, those who occupy their time with education and sports don't have much time for mischief. So I'm a little confused and interested on why this young man was carrying a blade in the first place. A blade long enough to penetrate and lacerate the heart, long enough to lacerate the heart. In regards to the self-defense, there's a sense of provocation in play. Number one, you're not under your own team's tent. Number two, you tell the boy, if you do this, I'm gonna do that, or watch what happens if I do this. So you're provoking, you're poking the bear. So it's a lot of things that this young man did that's going to work against him. It's going to work against him. As to the point, I won't be surprised that the prosecution is going to try to throw an element in play as he put himself in that situation to create that situation, to create that altercation. Normally, normal behavior with most athletes is you will be on what will be designated your team's tent, your team's side of the the table, your team side of the field. Under normal behavior. So it's a lot of things that are quite weird about this, and a lot of content creators who are pro Anthony want to bring up things like, okay, well, let's talk about Daniel Penny or Kyle Rittenhouse, and let's talk about the hypocrisies with that in regards to them getting GoFundMe accounts and things like that, how they were supported, and how this family is getting blasted, and in regards to getting public support for Carmelo. Now it's things that the Edomite boy did that he shouldn't have done. If there's like I said, they was both hotheads. If there was a problem, you take that issue to someone who has the authority, the type of authority that one will respect without violence. And that's typically a coach, a teacher, some adult to correct the situation in a controlled manner. So that's my initial take on what's going on. To what's going on. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at the chat. Let's see what we got going on up in here. Let's switch scenes right quick. Let's switch scenes right quick. Team Patterson read the updated police report today. It wasn't a knife, it was a cleat sharpener. That changes his self-defense claim to a much stronger case defense. So that's a better reason why he will have a, a sharp object in his backpack, because I believe he ran track, and track runners wear cleats, I believe. Um, so that will make more sense on why he will have a sharp object in his backpack. Okay, that eliminates why you have a sharp object in your backpack. Now you have a reasonable reason why you have this tool in your backpack. Can anybody bring out a reasonable reason why he's in the opposition's tent side of the field? It still sounds like a element of provocation to me. Still sounds like an element of provocation. Let's get back to the video.
Question is going to be what amount of force was necessary at that time to defend himself.
Now, is that where the stand your ground law applies?
Correct. And understand your ground, you have the right to stay right where you are and defend yourself if certain factors are in play. Did you have a legal right to be where you were, and were you in fear of your life?
What about having a weapon on school grounds? That seems to be a problem. Usually, at most schools, I don't know, there are all kinds of notifications that you can't have anything. But usually, I think it says firearms, not necessarily a knife.
Well, I don't know that a knife was allowed at that time where he was. I don't know that that's going to be necessarily a defeating factor with respect to self-defense. We'll have to wait and see.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Melissa and Chris, for that insight. As you would imagine, lots more to come from this case. All right. I want to bring things back local here because Jonathan Mejia is working on a story here today. You're going to see the full story at 5. But he's joining me here in the studio because we're talking about a Honduran woman who is out of ICE custody today.
Okay, so now they're getting into another story. Come out of that. Let's get into the chat. The Team Patterson has said something else that I was not aware of. He said, it is reasonable to pick the closest tent to escape the rain. It is reasonable. That is a reasonable reason to escape inclement weather. So that is true. Hurry up and get up underneath the tent till everything blows over. Meanwhile, Edomite boy is emboldened with his brother. And from what I understand, both brothers approached Karmelo Anthony, and he felt threatened. Excuse me. So he felt threatened at that point. So that's part of his reasoning for bringing out the cleat sharpener. Now, this part of the story is quite weird. Now, Carmelo's Anthony's family are having a press conference. That family is having a press conference. Guess who shows up at their press conference? Before I go head on, Team Patterson said jock meathead who thought he was top flight security of the track meet. Yeah, yeah, and that's typical of Edomites. That's typical of Edomites. They always want to be the Karens of the world. Police shit that they ain't got that's like none of their business. I did say that I do believe that they both were hotheads and what have you. At it, um, and, and part of that opinion has changed some since Mr. Peterson brought out some facts that it was inclement weather involved. It wasn't a knife. It was a cleat sharpener and what have you. So that does strengthen the self-defense case even more. So, but yeah, they always looking for opportunity to correct you in your grammar or pronunciation and or police where they think you should be or don't supposed to be and all this that and the third. So that's typical Esau. Go over here. Guess who shows up at Carmelo Anthony's family's uh press conference?
Hello, everyone. We are about to approach and get started in a few minutes.
So let me remove this right quick. The video owner thing here, fair statement thing here, so you can see the headline here at the very top. It says Austin McClaff father goes to Carmelo Anthony's family's news conference. What the hell is you doing there? What the hell is you doing there? And so he's being confronted by security and what have you, and had to been escorted out. What was your motive to show up? Show up there. Off the top of my head, let's see what the chat got to say. Mrs. O says he wants hillbilly justice. I believe it was a form of intimidation. And it was a form of intimidation to come that close to the opposing family. That was extremely inappropriate. That was extremely inappropriate. Extremely inappropriate. That was a intimidating His purpose for that was to intimidate to some level. Well, I guess we see where Austin got his behavior attributes from, right? This is a bullying tactic. And then they go out and they show that
Approach
he's
and
here,
get started
and then they get
in
ready
a
for
few
the press
minutes.
conference in which we had already reviewed beforehand, where she's going into
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
she went into pretty much giving a like some type of resume and what have you. And it may have been strategic. I don't really think so because of the emotion involved while she was talking and what have you. But if it wasn't strategic, it was this boy comes from a certain stock. I want to prove that to the world that he's not coming from hood radish hood or low grade stock, pretty much. Went into the fears that the family members are having, the anxieties that they're having, the traumas that they're experiencing, explaining why, explaining the public funding that they what time they're receiving the funds and what have you. So she's trying to defend several fronts. Several fronts. A team had said something earlier in the chat that I want to bring out. A team had said something earlier that I want to bring out. Said, ma'am, some things are better left unsaid. That's true. And but yet I do understand why she did that. If it wasn't something strategic that her team had her do, and it came off of emotion and what have you, then 100% that, in all honesty, unless, like I said, her team knows different strategies of psychological manipulations and things of that nature, where unless they know something better than what I'm about to express, then what you had expressed to the public that day in your mind to change the minds of, you wasn't changing the mind of your people. Your people got your back from what I'm seeing on the internet. But so your motive, if it wasn't a strategic play, your motive was to change the mind of the Edomites. Man, that shit's set in stone. You're not gonna change their mind. They could be wrong as two left shoes. They don't give a shit. They're right when it comes to us. They're right. right when they come, they are right when it comes to us. I got another video from CBS Texas. Let me put it up here. Put the fair statement up. Let me change the owner on here. Let me change the owner information. One moment, people. CBS 11. Make sure we stay on top of that so we don't get any more strikes. So the title of this video is Misinformation Spreads After Frisco Stabbing. Let's check it out.
I want to clarify something right off the start because I've already heard some rumors and some gossip. This was not a race thing, and this is not a political thing.
That's the father of Frisco stabbing victim Austin Metcalf. He pleaded on national television for his family's tragedy, the loss of their son, not to be turned into a race or a political issue. The sad reality is that appears to be exactly what has happened. Amid a surge of misinformation and false claims, the story has taken on a life of its own online. Tonight, our I-Team reporter Brian New with who is behind some of these social media posts, including one political candidate who is calling for a protest this weekend in Frisco.
From the very beginning, people far from Texas have amplified this story on social media, often injecting misinformation to push false narratives. This has come from individuals claiming to support Austin Metcalf, as well as those claiming to support Karmelo Anthony, despite having no connection to the families or the community. This week, a flyer has been circulating online to promote a protest. The flyer uses a picture of Metcalf with the banner reading, "Protect White Americans." If you look at the initial flyer, it misspelled Frisco. It also got the name of a local high school wrong and incorrectly claimed this is where the stabbing took place. It did not. The latest version of the flyer now shows a new location for the protest. This flyer has now been shared by dozens of high-profile social media accounts. This one post received 5.3 million views. The organizer of the protest, according to the flyer, is this man, Jake Lang. Lang was charged with attacking police at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. He was pardoned earlier this year by President Trump. Lang is now running for U.S. Senate in Florida. The Frisco Police Department said it is aware of the scheduled protest.
Those who did that at the Capitol, wasn't that majority Proud Boys? Chat, help me out. So we got a Proud Boy trying to run for Senate? That was the Proud Boys who ran through that Capitol, wasn't it? Oh, it was several of a couple of those type of groups, but I think it was I recall mainly hearing about the Proud Boys. Proud Boys and Antifa. Proud Boys and Antifa, Mrs. O said. So we got some Aryan white supremacist members. Well, I mean, they already are integrated throughout all levels of government. From your police all the way up to the president and everything in between. So that's your senators, your governors, your councilmen, your city councilmen, your your judges, your prosecutors. So it's nothing new. It's nothing surprising.
And put out this statement yesterday, saying officers will be on hand to ensure the safety of the public while allowing the protesters to exercise their First Amendment rights in a peaceful manner. With the I-Team, Brian New, CBS News, Texas.
All right, so we got that video, just some information. Wasn't too much on that. And we got the family press conference, in which we already got the gist of that. But dude, hey, check this out here. This is hot right here. Let me find it for you. This was some good stuff right here. This was some good stuff right here.
It's time for today's Face.
Let me get this off of here. I'm gonna let this play all the way through, and then we're gonna go back over it again, and break it down bit by bit. I'm gonna let it play all the way through. I ain't saying shit, and then we're gonna play it back over again and break it down. Y'all gonna like this one. Esau and Jacob, head to head. Let me get everything together here. Fox Soul. For the owner. All right, that's in there. Let me get that. All right. Check this shit out.
Off on Fox Soul, challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
And he did it in self-defense.
New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco. Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. It's just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody.
Here's Quan LX.
Charles, we just watched a segment here discussing the tragic loss of life of a young high school student in Frisco, Texas at a track meet. And watching that newscast, it upsets me because that newscast is full of damn lies. This is a tragic situation where a young man lost his life, yes. But young Karmelo Anthony, in this case, the young man who's been charged with murder, he did not assault anyone in the beginning. He didn't start this fight. The young man approached him with his brother, threatening Karmelo to move out of a spot that was not assigned to anybody. Where Karmelo was sitting, he had a right to be sitting. There was no assigned seating anywhere in the stadium that excluded students from sitting in certain areas. Then when they went to Karmelo, he was threatened by both brothers. And he told them, don't put your hands on me. And they threatened to put their hands on him. And he told them, if you put your hands on me, watch what happens. The white kid, in this case, punched Karmelo in the face. He didn't push him, he punched him in the face. And then that young man defended himself, and unfortunately, a young student lost his life. But Charles, in the state of Texas, you have a right to stand your ground, and if you are the victim of a vicious attack, you can use deadly force if necessary to protect yourself and your life, to stop you from becoming a further victim of an assault or a crime. Why is this young man in jail when he didn't start it? He didn't approach anyone. They approached him. They used profane language toward him. They threatened him and then assaulted him, and he defended himself. Why is he in jail? He's defended himself from a vicious attack and assault. So this young man, in my opinion, should not be in jail. Teach your children. Keep your hands to yourself. That's what needs to be taught here. And to tell this young brother to give up your seat, give me your seat, this ain't no damn Rosa Parks era. You just can't go to a young black man and say, give up your seat. He had a right to sit there. And so that brother had his back of the bus moment and refused to give up his seat, and it cost that young white kid his life.
I rarely say this, Quanell. I sometimes internalize it, but shame on you. How absolutely despicable for you to sit here and try to draw this false equivalency between Rosa Parks and this scumbag murderer, right? Shame on you for living a life defined by make-believe racial grievance, that you seek a pulpit to lie to people. And let's talk about those lies. Even if you assume everything that is coming out of the Karmelo Anthony camp, even if you assume all of that is true, under the laws of the state of Texas, he is still absolutely guilty of murder, period. Like, you can assume all the fabrications are true. It's still murder, right? You do not have a right to use deadly force in response to a shove or a punch. Now, mind you, all the witness statements are saying it was a shove that was goaded, but let's assume everyone's lying and this murderer is telling the truth. You still can't, because the scenario, what you're advocating for, and pulling Rosa Parks into, is that every time someone walks through a club and someone shoves them or bumps them, you can pull out a knife and stab them in the heart and kill them. And I have no doubt that more is going to come out of Karmelo Anthony, that more evidence. Now, there are rumors that I don't want to regurgitate.
Oh, please do.
No.
Please
let's
do.
talk about what has been sold. That you sent me this weekend when we were discussing it. You sent me the statement by the police chief that turned out to be just fabricated. Somebody out there making believe the FBI is now involved, right? And that people are regurgitating all over social media. And it's all driven on racial lines. You are the one that was calling for Daniel Penny to go to prison for life. Now, mind you, we have this new spectacular game in America, right, where we play white man always bad and evil, black man always good, no matter what happens. The truth is, my feelings on this, if it was a white young man who brought a knife to school, went to someone else's tent, started being a jackleg, refused to move out, and then pulled out a knife and jabbed it in someone's heart, I would call him a murderer. And if a white kid did exactly what Karmelo Anthony did to a black kid, you would be out here marching in the street.
Not
would be burning your George
Zimmerman with the Trayvon Martin and put his hands on that kid who was doing nothing wrong. And you same white folks found George Zimmerman not guilty of murder when Trayvon was defending himself. Right here in Texas, you've had many cases where white men have been assaulted by black men. They use deadly force and they're not charged.
Why are you talking about something else?
You cannot
Why are you
tell
lying
me.
about my position, you despicable, shameless liar?
He was assaulted. That young man was assaulted. He was threatened more than one time. He was asked to move from an area he had a right to sit in. He didn't approach nobody. He didn't threaten nobody. That young man, after being threatened continuously 3 times in a row, was punched in the face. He had a right to defend himself. So don't tell me that this young man can be threatened multiple times and physically punched and assaulted, and he ain't got a right to put his hands in self-defense on the person assaulting him. And he can use whatever force is necessary to stop the attack.
Why do you just
You
lie
brought up Daniel
all the
Penny.
time?
You brought up Daniel Penny.
I did.
Daniel Penny choked the young man to death on the subway.
Right.
But that young man, he hadn't assaulted anybody. He was making threats, but he physically didn't touch anyone.
Right.
This case was threats backed up by a physical attack and assault that this young man put on that young black brother. That young black brother had a right to defend himself when he was beyond threatened but viciously attacked.
Well, there's another key difference, right? Mr. Penny, right, had a guy, a crazy guy, going up and screaming and yelling and threatening to kill people, an unhinged guy that should have probably been in a hospital.
The same thing the white boy did to Karmelo Anthony.
You know, not screaming over you. Let me finish. Right? And Daniel Penny, not using a deadly weapon, restrained him. And I said from the very beginning, there's a real question about where the line was drawn and what he did and if he was alive. Now, the medical examiner came out and they said it turns out that the fellow was still alive when Mr. Penny let him go. But that was a very nuanced situation. But here's a big nuance. I mean, something that you're ignoring is it didn't involve a deadly weapon. But let's talk about examples. So Daniel Penny put up a GoFundMe and it got taken down. Oh, it can't be up. Right? The Anthony family, the wonderful Anthony family that raised this murderer, did such a wonderful job, this defender, right, of liberty, this new Rosa Parks for 2025, as you call him. They put a GoFundMe up for $100,000. It didn't get taken down. The moment, minutes after it got the $100,000, they jacked it up for more money because it's all just a con.
George
it's
Zimmerman
all just
raised
$1
million that
thing.
was donated to him after killing Trayvon Martin. Kyle Rittenhouse, after he killed 2 people in cold blood, he raised over $1 million. Wait a minute.
Let's
the
talk about
officer
that.
who killed Michael Brown, he raised almost $2 million. So don't tell me that when black folks decide to put money and support behind a young brother who didn't start a fight, who didn't threaten nobody, who was sitting where he could have right to be sitting, was threatened more than one time, was physically attacked, he defends himself, and then all of a sudden he's in jail for murder. But guess what, brother? We gonna stand behind ours like you white folks stand behind yours.
Okay, let me
that
be
young
clear.
brother was attacked.
I know you're yelling
he defended
because
himself.
you really get worked up when you're lying. But let me say, let me say very clear.
But then it's justified.
Us killing
but when we defend ourselves,
now,
it's murder.
Let's
hell with that.
Firstly, George Zimmerman, absolutely a murderer. The officer that shot Michael Brown, there's evidence that Michael Brown attacked him. The question is, there's also some evidence that he was running away that was refuted. That's a very weird situation. It exemplifies wall cops.
But this young man attacked Karmelo Anthony.
Hold on, Mr. Liar in Chief.
No, you're the liar.
No, I'm not going to lie.
Because you white folk hate when black folks
You
defend
brought up
themselves.
George Zimmerman. He was prosecuted. It failed.
And white folks found him not guilty. All white
jury. He was absolutely a murderer, in my opinion. I disagreed with that outcome, just like I disagree with the officer that murdered Tamir Rice, not facing charges.
Found not guilty.
You act like, well, he was never charged.
A grand jury said not guilty. Let him go.
Here's the thing. You act like all white people have this one opinion. What we're only seeing in America right now is the only thing we see is the brazenness of some people. Obviously, it's not everyone that racialize every incident, and they look at it through the prism of race, right? And for you, if you flip-flop the races here, you would be screaming about the entire different thing, and I'd be agreeing with you that was wrong. But you make all of your decisions based on race. Then you lie and scream and talk.
Assessment
no, it's
here.
not an assessment.
Because there's a white victim in this case.
How
I'm sorry, Charles. He didn't start a fight.
Texas law,
he didn't threaten anybody.
Well, actually,
Carmelo Anthony did not threaten anybody.
Very clear.
I've talked to witnesses. I've talked to the family. I've talked to the grandfather.
Which family?
Carmelo Anthony's family.
Exactly.
And I've talked to his family.
You're getting paid.
And gotten details. Not a penny.
Yeah,
not a penny.
Yet.
But guess what? I'll say this to you.
Don't say it.
Not only am I not getting paid, I'm sending some of my money to his defense fund. Because that young brother deserves an adequate and thorough defense, and I'm donating to it, and I pray others do also.
So if he has such a valid defense, why are there so many lies swirling around in the slurry of social media that first it was that there was past encounters between these brothers and Mr. Anthony and his girlfriend, that they robbed Mr. Anthony, that they attacked him and beat him up, and he was looking at his life was threatened. When none of it occurred, there's very detailed witness accounts that are available.
But there's all kinds of lies going on. There are all kinds of lies going on.
Actually, there's not, right?
Now, what about this one?
So I read it.
Now, this young man was killed.
You can yell, I can yell too. No, you interrupted me.
You opening your mouth to me like that. Don't fight me. You white folks are reaping what you sow. You're reaping what you sow.
White folks
You're reaping what you sow.
So what did Austin Metcalf deserve to get murdered in your book?
When he threatened more than once.
Okay.
When he approached
what did he say?
Let me finish.
What did he say?
When he threatened
that
if he did not give up his seat, what he was going to do.
What did he say he was going to do?
When he threatened that young man that if you don't move, I'm going to punch you in your face.
Okay.
2. 3, when he decided that he was going to take his hand, punch that innocent kid in the face who didn't threaten him, who was not breaking any laws, who was not violating no school policies or procedures. When he did that, he crossed the line.
He was violating
and it gave Karmelo Anthony the right to defend himself. Karmelo Anthony was not the instigator. He was not the initial aggressor. The instigator, the threatener, and the initial aggressor, Mr. Metcalf, died. He brought that on himself.
Okay. That's a disgusting take, right? But you said he wasn't breaking any rules. Was it a violation of school policy to come to the track meet armed with a deadly weapon?
Yes or no? Wait a minute.
Yes or no?
It was that kind of knife.
Yes or no?
It was that kind of knife.
Yes or no?
It was not that kind of knife.
Well, what kind of knife was it?
That's the lie being told.
No.
It was not no butcher knife, no kitchen knife. It wasn't no buck knife. It wasn't that kind of knife.
What kind of knife was it?
See, I'm going to be quiet right now. It's going to come out.
Oh,
those knives that he used were the same ones they used to help put them tents up.
Okay, so he was armed with a knife.
Everybody, a lot of kids had those knives putting those tents up. It's a custom knife that they used to put those tents up. He didn't bring no weapon like that.
Are you allowed to carry a knife at school?
Charles, it was not that type of weapon.
Okay. Was it a knife
at all,
or not?
Charles? It was something that they used to help erect tents.
Okay. Who told you this?
All of them. Let me say this to you, Charles. I'm not going to get too deep into that
I get
point,
that. Had Karmelo been in trouble before for carrying a weapon at school?
I don't know anything about this.
You don't know anything about it. Okay, so we can agree, though, that it is in fact a violation of policy to have a deadly weapon at a track meet. Yes
Charles,
or no? Yes or no? Can we agree to that?
He didn't bring that type of weapon.
Okay.
He did not.
Did he have a weapon hidden in his backpack?
He used a weapon to defend himself,
Did he
Charles.
open up his backpack?
He used a weapon to
say,
defend himself.
I dare you to touch me.
No, Charles.
Well, so
he had a right to do that.
Oh, well, really?
He wasn't wrong.
Really?
If you in my face threaten to do bodily harm to me, if you threaten me over and over to do bodily harm to me, and then you punch me in my face, because he got a right to use whatever force necessary to stop that attack.
So what you're saying is if it turns out that everyone that was there that gave witness statements that have been published, if they weren't lying and he didn't punch him in the face, right? If they didn't threaten him with physicality, he didn't punch him in his face, do you still think that murder was
Charles,
okay?
I've talked to two
Do you
students.
still think that murder was okay?
I've talked to two students who were right there, Caucasian students.
Okay.
And they told me, yes, he was punched in the face.
Who were those students?
I'm not going to name them.
Okay, of course you're not.
But those two
because you're
students,
lying to Fox Soul.
you are a damn liar.
No, I'm
I
not.
talked to those two students.
You are the same
and
person.
They admitted that he punched that boy in the face after threatening him, Charles.
Okay. You are the same person that sent me this narrative along with a false police chief statement.
That was put out there before the public, yes.
Right? The thing is, you are just regurgitating lies that are all designed that you wouldn't. And my whole problem is not that you're. My whole problem
if
is
he
not.
punched him in the face.
My whole problem.
So if he threatened him and punched him, was that self-defense?
No, it's still not a tactic.
So if you threaten that kid over and
Okay.
over and punch him in the face, you can't use no force necessary to stop that attack. So Texas don't have a standing ground law.
Do you want
Texas don't have a standing ground law?
Not in that context.
Oh,
no.
stop it,
I think you
Charles.
misunderstand it.
No,
if
he got a stand your ground law, Charles, and he stood his ground.
Okay, you're lying.
He stood his ground,
and I don't
Charles.
know.
He was supposed to be there.
Once before running away, when Anthony was taken into
This round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, we just watched a segment here discussing the tragic loss of life of a young high school student in Frisco, Texas. Why is he in jail? This young man in my life. That's what refused. Brother had his back of the bus moment and refused to give up his seat, and it cost that young white kid his life.
I rarely say this, Quanell. I sometimes internalize it, but shame on you.
Can anybody hear me? All right. So the first thing I want to bring out is the first thing that this Edomite does is he attacks his debater personally. It's a weak tactic. That's not how you debate. You want to discredit him. You want to interject an element of shame to the audience. It's not to make him feel shameful, but it's to make the audience perceive that he should be shameful in his position. It's a cheap shot. When a person comes out with that tactic, either off rip or throughout a debate, they know they do not have any substantial basis for their own argument. So part of their argument is to personally attack you, defame, discredit, devalue your position. In hopes that they can perform a Jedi mind trick to make their position appear more substantial. It's a classic Edomite chess move. Go over here. I want to check out the chat right quick. Because the Mountie Green Beans The Mountie Green Beans is in the house, y'all. What's going on, Green Beans? DeMonte Green Bean said, we can defend our country, but not ourselves. All praises to that. Probably should stop defending this fucking country. And on July 4th, 1776, where the fuck were you at? And when I say you know I mean your forefathers and foremothers. If you keep that in mind, you stop integrating yourself, assimilating yourself in the different systems of this country. You can't defend yourself. You can't remember your history. You can't defend yourself. Anything that deals with our connection to the start of this country, all that we have been through in this country and continue to be through, you can't have no reference to that. But let you say something like, you say anything that is considered anti-Semitic, or why do y'all keep bringing up the Holocaust? And you'll get all kinds of heat. Just because I said Holocaust, YouTube will probably do all kinds of shit to the algorithms on this video. But anytime you bring up anything about Israelite history, oh, that was a long time ago. Why you keep bringing that up? But let you say that about the Holocaust. Let you say that about D-Day. Let you say anything in contrary to what they want to remember. It's a problem. That's a little bit off topic, but it was necessary. It was necessary. So this Edomite immediately attacks personally his debater's character. You should be shameful on the angle you came with. Let's go.
How absolutely despicable for you to sit here and try to draw this false equivalency between Rosa Parks and this scumbag murderer, right? Shame on you for living a life defined by make-believe racial grievance that you seek a pulpit to lie to people. And let's talk about those lies. Even if you assume everything that is coming out of the Karmelo Anthony camp, even if you assume all of that is true, under the laws of the state of Texas, he is still absolutely guilty of murder, period. Like, you can assume all the fabrication.
He is absolutely guilty of murder. I'm sorry, did this motherfucker just jump into some Back to the Future car or contraption, and where was the trial at? Where's this innocent till proven guilty element of the judicial system? You condemning this boy off rip and no trial, none of the actual facts all of the facts, all of the details have been made public yet. And you say absolutely, without a benefit of a doubt, this young man is guilty of murder. He just exposed that he condemns this boy right now. He don't need nothing. He don't need the whole story. He's got enough. And what that enough is based off of, you know what it is.
Allegations are true. It's still murder, right? You do not have a right to use deadly force in response to a shove or a punch. Now, mind you, all the witness statements.
I do not have the right to use deadly force on a push or a shove or a punch from a party of two. Two people are in an aggressive stance towards me. Even if the other brother didn't say anything, his countenance is still there. His posture is still there. You can reasonably assume the brother is on the ready. So one shoves, pushes, punch, whatever. He is on the offensive. If he push, it's meant to knock you off balance, get you, and ultimately get you on the ground to get stumped. If he punches, it's ultimately to rather distract you for another punch coming from him and or the other brother, or to daze you so they can both pound on you. Either way, the element of threat ultimately came from both brothers. That is a life-threatening situation when you're facing more than one person. Mrs. O says, how dare you go against our kind and take up for yours? Right. You should always remain subservient. Regardless of the situation.
Are saying it was a shove that was goaded, but let's assume everyone's lying and this murderer is telling the truth. You still can't, because the scenario, what you're advocating for, and pulling Rosa Parks into, is that every time someone walks through a club and someone shoves them or bumps them, you can pull out a knife and stab them in the heart and kill them.
And that's another Jedi mind trick. That's something that most of the red pill on YouTube go into. A tactic that women use. They go to the extreme to try and prove their point. Now, he said you in a club and somebody pushes you. And he knows damn well that's a totally different dynamic. If you in a concert or you in a club where it's crowded, you know what I'm saying, you got to kind of bogart your way through the crowd a little bit and what have you. There's some stepping on your shoes. There's some hitting of the shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Now, depending on the hit of the bypass, you can, in most situations, you should be able to recognize the difference between something that's intentional or not. Either way, he went to the extreme left to try to prove a point. When you're in a crowded area, there is a expectation that there is going to be some bumping. There's going to be somebody to mistakenly step on your shoes, step on your toes. Thus, you use some type of patience with that. And in most cases, if people recognize they trespass, they say, "Excuse me, my bad." DeMonte Green Bean said he's trying to bring up some old 92 shit. And if you step on mine, you push the button, because I'll beat your ass like you ain't nothing.
And I have no doubt that more is going to come out of Karmelo Anthony, that more evidence, there are rumors that I don't want to regurgitate.
Oh, please
but let's talk,
do.
No.
Please
let's
do.
talk about what has been sold. That you sent me this weekend when we were discussing it. You sent me the statement by the police chief that turned out to be just fabricated. Somebody out there making believe the FBI is now involved, right? And that people are regurgitating all over social media. And it's all driven on racial lines. You are the one that was calling for Daniel Penny to go to prison for life. Now, mind you, we have this new spectacular game in America, right, where we play white man always bad and evil, black man always good.
And so that brings up this scripture. White man always bad and evil. Last week we proved who Edom was. And I can grab more works by scholars from the early 1800s, during the era where it was white eyes only, where we wasn't permitted to read, right? Works that they did about themselves to prove that they are the Edomites. He said, let's go back to it right quick. Let me just go back to it right quick.
It's all driven on racial lines. You are the one that was calling for Daniel Penny to go to prison for life. Now, mind you, we have this new spectacular game in America, right, where we play white man always bad and evil.
White man always bad and evil. We proved who Esau was last week. Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build a desolate places. This is a prophecy going into when they lost power, and it was going into what we know as the dark era, or the age of recession, right? That's ultimately saying when black or dark races, or actually it was us as Israelites, were gaining and acquired and attained power in Western and Eastern Europe. It was called the Dark Ages. It was called the Dark Ages not because it was a recession in knowledge, in wisdom, technology. It was called the Dark Ages because dark people ruled Western and Eastern Europe at this time. And this is a prophecy about that period. We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. That's a prophecy saying that's referring to the Renaissance, when Esau came back into power in Western and Eastern Europe and East Asia. Okay? Thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness. What's the context of this scripture? Whereas Edom saith. And the latter part of the scripture says, the border of wickedness. And the people against the Lord have indignation forever. Edom is the border of wickedness. Once you cross the border of Edom, you are in wickedness. They are the wicked. Per Malachi 1 and 4. And since they are the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Speaking lies. And this is a little off track what we're talking about, but I just wanted to hip you to something. Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob, you shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. The native Indians, and people who are considered to be Hispanic or Latino, and a flame, and the house of Esau a stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. So Jacob and Joseph shall kindle them and devour them. They will burn and consume them. And they shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. That means all of them. For the Lord hath spoken it.
Black man always good, no matter what happens. The truth is, my feelings on this, if it was a white young man who brought a knife to school, went to someone else's tent, started being a jackleg, refused to move out, and then pulled out a knife and jabbed it in someone's heart, I would call him a murderer. And if a white kid did exactly what Karmelo Anthony did to a black kid, you would be out here marching in the streets.
Oh, no, I would not be.
People would be burning your life through your teeth.
George Zimmerman with the Trayvon Martin and put his hands on that kid who was doing nothing wrong. And you same white folks found George Zimmerman not.
And George Zimmerman was able to sell artifacts on the internet freely and make money off of this, off of that situation.
not guilty of murder when Trayvon was defending himself.
Where was the element of threat to George Zimmerman? None. The boy had a hoodie and Skittles. Since when was the rainbow in a pack of candy life-threatening to anybody? All the dude was walking down the street with his hood on his head, tasting the rainbow.
Right here in Texas, you've had many cases where white men have been assaulted by black men. They use deadly force and they're not charged.
Why are you talking about something else?
You cannot
Why are you
tell
lying
me.
about my position, you despicable, shameless liar?
He was assaulted. Liar. That young man was assaulted. He was threatened more than one time. He was asked to move from an area he had a right to sit in.
And the element for self-defense is either the verbal or the physical manifestation of a threat. If I say, I'm going to do this to you and start coming towards you, is basis enough to stand my ground and protect myself. Now, prosecutors and judges like to play the game. Well, you could have fought back. You could have used less lethal alternatives. But in this situation, it's 2-on-1 because the brother was right there with him. I have not yet heard anything that said that the brother said anything, but I guarantee you the countenance, the posture, his presence, standing next to his brother, that's basis enough for one to assume that that's 2-on-1, and that is enough to assume that there is a lethal threat on your life, and you must use lethal force to protect yourself. Because if I get one off of you, the other one may flee. You know, and it's amazing how police in the same situations get all the leeway in the world. They get less. They got to prove. They standard of proving anything is less than a civilian. When a civilian exercises their CPL or they right to stand their ground, their expectation to prove is higher than a peace officer, and that's ridiculous.
He didn't approach nobody. He didn't threaten nobody. That young man, after being threatened continuously.
And so even though he put himself in an area typically not being occupied by an opposing team, he did not actively initiate the altercation. I believe that he passively did so. Although I have one of our watchers saying that, hey, he got up underneath the tent because of inclement weather. So that will neutralize that idea. But, and I'm not trying to make a defense for the Edomite kid. But if you play in outdoor sports, whether that's track, football, baseball, and then, you got now the argument is the intensity of the rain and what have you. But if you in outdoor sports, rain ain't shit. You can walk your ass over to your side of the field. I'm sorry. I played sports. I played basketball. I played indoor sports. But I was also there for the outdoor sports. And normal behavior prompts you to be where your people are at, where your team is at, where your coach is at. So I still believe that there was some element of provocation from Karmelo. He's not totally innocent. Technically, I believe he's innocent. Technically, in regards to the law, I believe he's innocent. But Karmelo, you was on some bullshit that day.
3 times in a row, was punched in the face. He had a right to defend himself. So don't tell me that this young man can be threatened multiple times and physically punched and assaulted, and he ain't got a right to put his hands in self-defense on the person assaulting him. And he can use whatever force is necessary to stop the attack.
Why do you just
You
lie
brought up Daniel
all the
Penny.
time?
You brought up Daniel Penny.
I did.
Daniel Penny choked the.
And then the Edomite like, why you just lying all the time? Okay, where did he lie at? A debater will bring out, okay, look, these are the points where you are inaccurate on. These are the points where I think you have a gross misrepresentation on, i.e. a lie. That's what gross misrepresentation means. You just don't throw out blank statements why you lie all the time. So the Edomite has no substantial argument. So he's going to throw out blanks. He's going to shoot blanks and hope that suffice. It will suffice his audience. It will satisfy them. But for those who have some type of intellect, who can read past the bullshit, they can see right through that. That's not gonna hold any water at all.
Young man to death on the subway, but that young man hadn't assaulted anybody. He was making threats, but he physically didn't touch anyone. Right. This case was threats backed up by a physical attack and assault that this young man put on that young black brother.
And that is the basic elements for self-defense. Threats backed up by physical force. You technically, legally, you do not need anything else. In our case, we need a whole lot of other stuff. I got my rib. Let me put myself on right quick. Now, I'm a CPL holder. I also have documented evidence that I have back issues and a shoulder issue. So I have medical documentation that I cannot throw hands with you. And my rib has access to those documentations for our lawyer when we need to use it. Because if you just look at me, I'm 6'6.5", 315 pounds. I should be able to hold my own in hand-to-hand combat. But I'm not going to do that. I'm a CPL holder with medical documentation that I have back issues and shoulder issues. And I'll leave it at that. And I'm ready to present the proof. We have to go the extra step. They don't. They do not. So Karmelo Anthony has an interesting situation to get through. And we'll be watching this closely along with everyone else. Seeing how this story develops, what facts actually come out in the self-defense trial. Next, we have a young lady in Detroit. Ms. London Thomas. All right, we're going to check this out.
Believes she could be in danger. We begin tonight with a desperate search for a missing teenager whose family believes she could be in danger. Good evening and welcome to 7 News Detroit at 11. I'm Carolyn Clifford. Tomorrow marks 1 week since London Thomas was last seen. She left her home in the area of Margarita and 5 Points on the city's west side. She went to visit her boyfriend in Inkster. 7 News Detroit reporter Carly Petrus has the plea for answers as loved ones pray for her safe return.
I'm here on Carlisle Street in Inkster. This is where 17-year-old London Thomas was last seen. Her family handing out these flyers to try to stir up some leads in her disappearance.
I can't do nothing without my daughter.
Desperate pleas coming from a father to find his 17-year-old daughter.
This has been the hardest thing I ever had to face in my life. I've been out days looking by myself, no help, no nothing.
Cedric Salisbury says his oldest daughter, London Thomas, has been missing since Saturday. He says it's not like her to just disappear for a few days.
London is not a runaway. London calls me every day. Me and my daughter are like this. She called me for everything. This is not normal behavior for her.
Police say London was last seen with her boyfriend on Carlisle Street in Inkster, wearing pink Croc shoes, black leggings, and a dark-colored hoodie.
She has a tattoo on her left side of her neck of a colorful butterfly.
Friends and family coming together Friday to support each other during this difficult time.
That's my baby.
London's grandmother, Justina Martin, believes the teen could be in danger based off data from a shared cell phone plan that shows her phone was last active behind a school in Westland. Why do you believe that?
Because she was let out at one place and her phone was at another place.
So it's that phone, that ping is
It's
what...
that ping, and I know my grandchild, she would have called me or her father.
Inkster Police Chief Tamika Jenkins tells me they can only share limited information at this time, but they're committed to transparency and will provide updates when they're available, asking anyone who has information to call the department or FBI.
I need answers. I need to know where she at.
London's family says no matter what, they're determined to bring her home.
We're not going to quit.
Okay, let me remove this fair statement right quick. So you can see the headline. Police family searching for missing 17-year-old daughter, London Thomas. Now you see this young lady, she's wearing quite a bit of makeup, umbrellas on the eyes, tattoo on the neck as they describe. Okay, I know this is a different day and time, you know what I'm saying? And as each generation, the parents get more and more liberal. There's a problem with that.
Quit. We're not gonna quit.
And they're asking for the community's help on this, organizing a search party for Saturday around noon in Westland. They're going to be handing out these flyers as well. In Inkster, Carly Petrus, 7 News.
This is better than Ozempic. Lose 5 pounds really fast.
What else do we have here? Oh yeah, the title of this video is "A Damaged Woman Will Not Appreciate a Good Thing."
Five people shot after a family dispute. I'm Camille and Mary. We'll have details coming up in a live report.
7 days since 17-year-old London Thomas was last seen. A search underway.
And it was just a stunning day today. Temps were in the 50s. Right now, we're currently in the middle 50s right now. We'll show you how long this trend lasts and when we expect to see rain coming up in the forecast.
I don't know what to make of it. In 31 plus years of this job, this ranks up there with one of the crazier ones I've heard.
And we begin with breaking news out of the west side of Detroit, where 5 family members have been sent to the hospital, all of them with gunshot wounds. Detroit police say there was a fight between family members and then things escalated into a full-on shootout. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Hillary Goulston.
And I'm Dave Spencer. We are learning more now about the conditions of those multiple victims. Fox 2's Camille Mary joins us live from the scene. Camille, so much to unpack here. Where to start?
Yeah, 2 people, though, are critical condition and 3 in temp serious. But let's talk about what happened. Let's rewind the clock back to yesterday. And that's what led up to all this, is a family member died after a long-term illness. She was an elderly woman. And then today, all the family members were together trying to discuss logistics after a passing, what to do as far as funeral arrangements go, where to have the body taken, when all of a sudden chaos broke out. A physical altercation, then a shooting. We know right now, as I said at the top, that 2 brothers in their 50s in critical condition, and then 3 women who are also family members. One of them, the wife of one of the brothers, and then also a niece who was in her 20s, also in the hospital. Now, the Assistant Chief Fitzgerald talks about this way better than I can, so I want you to listen to what he has to say in his own words.
Sounds like it started with the 2 brothers in a physical altercation. Gun falls out of the one brother's waistband. Another brother picks it up, fires a shot. Others return fire to defend that person. And even when the original officers, the responding officers arrived at scene, they were still fighting on the front lawn. One of the family members had a broom, hit another family member with the broom.
Okay, so right now we know that there was also a person who was inside the house. This all happened outside, but who was inside the house, who is suffering from a stroke, who is recovering from that. Police worried that he could have maybe been hit in this, but he's okay. And then also a bullet hit another house. Luckily, no one was hit. Right now, it's kind of a hectic situation because someone walked up. He actually walked up to us first and then to police because he's trying to get to his house back there. He's screaming at police. Police are trying to get him to calm down. He doesn't appear to be related to all of this, but still kind of adding to the stress and the chaos of this scene. But for now, that's what's going on. Of course, we're going to stay on top of this and bring you the latest information as soon as we get it. Reporting live, Camille Mary, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, Camille, whenever you're dealing with these domestic situations, we know emotions can run high. Do we know if the family members who were not injured are cooperating with the investigation at this point?
Well, again, interesting. And also, too, I didn't even
truck, and now Inkster police are trying to get to the bottom of it to discover the circumstances. Investigators responded to a call at a home on Inkster Road this afternoon. When they got there, they found both victims had apparently been shot. Inkster police are asking any witnesses to speak up. We're going to update you as we learn more about this developing story. And not that far away in Westland, a desperate search for a teen from Inkster. The search party made up of family and friends working to find this young person who vanished, apparently without a trace, a week ago. Fox 2's Scott Wolchek has more on their unrelenting push to bring London Thomas back home.
I don't wish this on no one. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life, but we're not gonna stop looking.
A father's desperate search for his daughter, 17-year-old London Thomas, who was last seen Saturday the 5th. Family and friends scouring through woods, through wetlands, through abandoned trailers.
Not back here. However, there's empties up that way.
Focusing on the areas near Cooper Elementary School in Westland, where her father, Cedric Salisbury, says her phone last pinged. What are your thoughts on this place? I mean, there's a lot of woods, there's a river.
Lot of Royal Cemetery. It's definitely creepy. I think we just need to step up the search even more.
London was last seen April 5th on Carlisle Street in Inkster. Salisbury says she may have been visiting an older man.
I personally don't know, but from my understanding, she was talking to a much older guy, and she was a minor. And ever since that, we have no more clues or any details.
From my understanding, she was talking to a much older guy. She was a minor. So that tells me that the father was in her every day. He mentioned that she was with a much older guy and she's a minor, meaning that he was an adult. And the father wasn't in her every day. And thus, the father didn't have much influence. This is an example of the importance of fathers being more than just child support in the children's lives. Now, I can only fall back on my own experience, but as I observe the landscape of the world and see that my situation isn't unique. I am one of many men who have been alienated, ostracized, separated, from their children, either by ways of using the legal system or either using the legal system in to separate them or using the legal system to persuade them to leave and move on from that situation. The boys and the girls need their fathers in their life. And if you do not allow that dynamic to take place, you hate your children, period. Now, If either parent is proven to be neglectful or abusive, then they deserve to be separated from the children or supervised. But if that element is not in place, and in most cases it is not, you hate your children, because this type of shit happens right here. This man, who is not woke, he only sees up to his nose. He has no clue. He has no real information on his daughter. He says the dude is an older dude. If he knew the dude's age, he would have said it. The dude, 33 years old, man, fucking with my daughter. He's an older dude. He know he an older cat. He's older than the daughter, and she's a minor. He knows that he's an adult, and he knows the daughter's a minor. He knows this is a situation, and you can tell that he doesn't approve, but his disapproval don't mean shit because he doesn't have any substantial stake in the daughter's life. And why is he on the camera for the second or third time during this situation? It's because this father cares. It's because he wanted to be there more than what he was. So the culprit is the mother doing some bullshit, as usual. As usual.
But that was the last person she was known to be seen with.
Inkster police investigating alongside Detroit Police's missing persons unit. Fox 2 saw numerous police vehicles on Carlisle on Friday. As for this father and these volunteers, they plan to continue searching and praying for answers for
as long as it take, as long as maybe we can find some updates or leads or anything. People might know something, they can come talk to me personally. We're going to just keep the efforts going as long as we can.
In Westland, Scott Walczak, Fox 2 News.
Now remember, I said that I wanted to bring into this show the scriptures in regards to different situations that come up. And then it comes, then bring up what law would have prevented this. What law would have prevented this? What law would have prevented this? Let me get rid of this stuff here right quick. Hold on, give me a minute. Let me get rid of the Leviticus 19:29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall into whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. How do you prostitute thy daughter? By allowing her to wear cumbrellas, by allowing her to wear provocative clothing, makeup, by allowing her to date. If we just follow the law, this girl will be living right now. If we just follow the law, this girl will be living right now. The direction of this show is to point out what we are doing as a society, pull out the law, the statute, the commandment, and if we just followed that, how we would have eliminated that, abated that, not experienced that. We cause our own peril all the time. If we just follow the law.
Problem is, we need resources to heal. Yes. We're all human beings, and as human beings, we have a God-given right to heal. But in communities like ours, it's not accessible. So we just got to do what? Keep it pushing, right?
A sex assault survivor shares a powerful message in a safe space for other crime victims and survivors. They're all coming together to turn their pain into purpose and to shine a light on the need for other resources to help them all heal. This was all during an event today on Detroit's west side at the Vibe Lounge on Finkel.
But we begin.
What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. The title of this video is
But we begin tonight with breaking news as police raid the home of a missing teenager's boyfriend. London Thomas has been missing now for nearly 2 weeks, with concern growing each passing day. Officers executed search warrants on Carlisle Street near Inkster Road and Michigan Avenue in Inkster. This is where London was last seen. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Carolyn Clifford. 7 News Detroit reporter Ruda Osanida joining us live from the scene. So, Ruda, what led up to this raid?
Carolyn, good evening. Investigations have been underway for nearly 2 weeks now. I'm on Carlisle Street, just as you mentioned. That home behind me there, that's the residence of London Thomas's boyfriend. The 17-year-old London has been missing. Was at this very residence with that very boyfriend. Finally, enough evidence for police to head inside and collect what they can. Police, the FBI have been on scene here for hours. Inkster police telling me that they're here looking for DNA evidence specifically based on some concerning info they found during phone extractions, adding they will update us as soon as they have enough information to make an official arrest. Now, earlier in the investigations, police have said they are looking into this as possible foul play. And while family says they're not surprised investigations have led police here, they're heartbroken with how uncooperative they say this boyfriend has been.
All of these lies just to push us away from what we're trying to do. And more stuff is coming up. And then you have people coming from any and everywhere that want to direct you into different directions. That's what's bringing my sister down. We don't need all of that. We just need to know right here, what did you do with her? You were the last person seen with her. What's going on and where is she at?
And just earlier today, London's family organized a search for her at the location where her phone last pinged. That was in Westland, near Cooper Elementary School. London's mother was there in what has been an emotional and grueling day for the entire family.
The minute y'all found out this girl was dealing with a grown man, y'all should have locked this girl down. Now everybody looking stupid. Once again, another story of a young Israelite lady losing their lives to some deranged psychopath who had no business being in her company in the first place, just off the basis of their age. You mama, you auntie failed her. And it's a reason why her father didn't have enough influence in her life for him to say anything to her to derail this shit. Because in my opinion, based on what I see on the media, that dude cared enough, but he was powerless. I wonder why. FBI is in the mix.
I'm Darren Cunningham.
Let's run this last video on this subject.
I'm Darren Cunningham in Inkster, where the search for a missing teen, London Thomas, continues. Friday, 7 News Detroit stopped by a home in Inkster raided by police and the FBI, a property investigators zeroed in on as they searched for a missing teen, 17-year-old London Thomas. The raid happened Thursday. According to authorities, London's 23-year-old boyfriend, who is now considered a person of interest, lives at the home on Carlisle Street with other family members. Hello, Darren Cunningham with Channel 7. You're not talking? A woman said her family isn't talking and closed the door before I could get in another word.
He's weird.
In what way?
He's just strange.
Jasmine Allen, who streamed the raid on social media in hopes of spreading the word, says she's lived across the street for 8 years and learned of London's disappearance about a week ago.
When the FBI knocked on my door,
looking for any surveillance footage. Inkster's police chief Tamika Jenkins says during the raid, investigators searched for DNA evidence after receiving, quote, concerning information they found during.
This dude is 23 years old. London was 17. That's at least a 4.5 to 5 year difference. Fuck the difference. He's 23 years old. He's a legal adult and she's a minor. Although in Michigan, statutory rape doesn't start until the minor is 16 and under. Unfortunately. "23, 17. Yeah, that is a 6 year difference. That is a 6 years difference. Mrs. O say 6 years. That's a 6 years difference. That's a 6 years difference. I mean, 6 years difference ain't nothing if I'm 30, you 24. I'm 36, you 30. But it's a little bit more substantial if I'm 23 and you 17. Her family failed her all her female wanna be the man. I'm a black woman, independent and strong and independent women in her life, alienating her or isolating her enough from her father where he didn't have enough influence. This is what you get.
During phone extractions. She said London was last seen in Inkster on April 5th. Her phone pinged in Westland near Cooper Upper Elementary, but the phone last pinged in Detroit, and DPD is the lead agency.
Everybody want to know where's London. I want to know where's London. You know what I'm saying? I'm a mother.
While on Carlisle Street, Julia Rapley, a family friend of London, drove by the home and stopped to speak with us.
It's a hurting thing to see a kid come up missing and she haven't lived her life. She's 17 years old, and I don't know. I'm just combobulated about it.
To keep her mind busy and try to get answers the family is desperately seeking, Rapley says she's been out searching.
I ride around the city of Inkster, go by the woods where the trees and stuff at, calling her name. Maybe she tied up or something. I don't want to think the worst, because God make miracles, you know. So it just hurt right now. It hurt for her and the rest of the kids that's missing.
I've been in touch with London's family. Her father tells me they are, of course, waiting for updates from police. If you have any information about London Thomas's whereabouts, call Inkster Police or the FBI in Inkster. 7 News Detroit stopped by a home in Inkster.
Another Israelite lady lost in this society of shit. The idealism. I have a daughter that I haven't had any influence on because of parental alienation. And some of the stuff I witnessed from trolling on the internet, the makeup that was used for dance recitals and stuff like that, I wouldn't have allowed all that shit. The cutting of the hair to make you look butchy, I wouldn't have allowed all that shit. As far as I know, she's tattoo free right now, but my son has a tattoo, has an arm tattoo. I wouldn't allow that shit. Women-led households produce more delinquent citizens, behaviors. The statistics are out. Single men with their children, single father households produce better children than single mother households. Just imagine if you two niggas were together, actually cooperating with one another, having a balanced family. Imagine what kind of children you can produce. It's amazing. But the ultimate culprit is our women. Just kind of going off into another subject. But it deserves attention, nevertheless. Fathers need to be in their children's lives more than what these women are allowing. These girls, these young men, these young boys are doing stuff way before it's time for them to entertain the idea, to entertain the notion. 17-year-old with a tattoo. You already I wouldn't say manipulating your body, but manipulating isn't the word. You're altering your body. You're not even old enough to take on that decision. And if a father was in the household, he wouldn't allow you to take on that decision. It'll be automatic no. You're not doing it. But not these liberal, strong black women, super feminists, my body, my choice, idealism. Allowing these children who do not have the mental capacity to make sound decisions about themselves to mutilate. That's what the word I was using. I wanted to find, mutilate their bodies. And oftentimes, these mutilations, other than piercing of the ears, once they become a certain age, it's a regretful act. But greater than that, you're allowing these children to be involved with young men, older men. You failed, London. You failed, London. So now it's time to go ahead into the second half of the show. But before we do so, Mrs. O has something to say. So we're going to go ahead and let her do her thing. Go ahead, Mrs. O. Do your thing.
Shalom, family. This is Mrs. O. Thank you for joining our channel. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support our channel, you can do so by scanning the QR codes to the Cash App or the PayPal in the lower left corner. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
All right, so now we're gonna go into this week's tidbits and health. So a content creator had posted this young lady on his stream. I'm not gonna show his stream. I actually found the raw content. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that. And let's check it out.
Flesh-eating vulva virus that is going around that literally causes sepsis and necrosis of your genitalia and appears to eat away at it before basically unaliving you, and it's sexually transmitted. You get it from having intercourse. And once you get it, you will catch sepsis from it and you will be no more. I don't think I need to explain to you how bad this is, but I will anyway. So this is a flesh-eating vulva infection, and it has already been 3 cases reported, and they're saying gynecologists now need to know the signs, and you should too. So doctors in the UK are warning gynecologists of the risks of necrotinizing fasciitis on the external genitalia, and it's seeing several severe cases. In a new case published April 8th in the Journal for BM Case Reports, UK doctors described 3 patients who were found to have this necrotinizing fascicystitis of the vulva. Ladies, we know what the vulva is. Vulva includes the external female genitalia such as the labia, and the labia, So, NF, also known as the flesh-eating disease, can arise when certain bacteria enter the skin through a wound, cut, abrasion, burn, surgical wound, or at this point, even a fucking insect bite. Mr. Sullivan, who is a professor of microbiology at the immunology at Indiana University, go my school, that NF can occur anywhere skin or tissue is breached, including genitalia. Go on to say that this is being spread through SE, you know what, and once it's on there, those little mites eat away at your vulva and everything involved. So ladies, if there was another time to like not touch men, now would be the time. Okay, bye.
Okay, so she didn't get specific on the name of this bacteria. He had on the bacteria. However, I did find an article from 6 years ago in regards to something more specific. So we're gonna check that out, okay?
A woman in the United Kingdom has been diagnosed with a rare flesh-eating sexually transmitted disease. Yahoo News reports it is the first case of danovanosis to be diagnosed in the UK. It is more commonly found in India, Papua New Guinea, the Caribbean, Australia, and Africa. The CDC says it causes ulcers that are typically painless and slow-growing, but it eventually destroys genital tissue and can spread to other parts of the body. There are around 100 cases reported in the U.S. each year. Most become infected while traveling overseas. Live Science says the STD can be treated with antibiotics over several weeks. That's a bit of good news there. Matt Urish for CBS 11 News.
You have unlimited authority.
Okay, so there's a form of syphilis that was discovered approximately, well, according to the news report, six years ago in the UK. So that's this form of syphilis is considered a flesh-eating disease and what have you. So what law will prevent you from doing that? No fornication, no adultery. It's kind of simple, folks. It's kind of simple. 18 says, ladies, don't be out here scissoring other females, top blaming men for everything. Don't be rubbing your clitoris on another clitoris, so that it can spread that way as well. Oral to genitalia, genitalia to genitalia. But female on female is fornication. Male on male is fornication. Male on female outside of marriage is adultery. If you abstain from adultery and fornication, and male on female outside of marriage is fornication as well. So if you abstain from fornication and adultery, you ain't got nothing to worry about. What if you followed the law? My oh my, how many different pitfalls you will not experience? What if you just followed the fucking law? It's amazing. All right, folks. We about to get into that hot video. All right, so we got Royalty Duo with Communicate. Enjoy.
You know, a lot of times in marriages, they seem to fall apart over the little things. You got one person trying to get their point across, and the other one don't want to listen. It's crazy. But if you just put God first, have respect for one another, love each other, it's all gonna work out. I love you, you love
Man, I love the guitar. I love that. I love the message of the song, but I am a guitar fan, and I love the guitar. I surely do. I surely do. Surely do. Let me check out the chats in regards to what we just talked about. We got Miss 18. Ladies, don't be out here scissoring other females. Top blaming men for everything. Yeah. Mrs. O says, skin to skin contact, period. Keep yourself to yourself until you are in the right biblical situation. Or do it how you want to do, according to your own will, and subject yourself to the perils that are out here for you to experience. It's your choice. Good luck with your decision. Tonight we talked about Karmelo Anthony. And it's unfortunate that this young man has to deal with such a magnitude, such a heavy burden, such a load early on in life. But what if you just followed the law? What if you just followed the law? The scriptures instruct us to be as wise as a serpent, but as soft as a dove. No, there's no procedures or policies in place to dictate where you may sit. And let's say you sit there and someone creates an altercation, an adverse situation. Some things are just not worth standing up for. It either lead to your death or provoke you to a heightened emotion to take someone else's life. Over a seat. Not only you, your family are being traumatized. The other family is being traumatized. Two hotheads. I'm all for defending your family. But when it comes down to defending a seat, it's not punking out. It's not bitching up. It's using wisdom. Unless your life or your family life is in danger initially, find a way to de-escalate. the repercussions is not worth the additional trauma, the additional stress, the additional toll that it'll take on you and those that love you. What if you just followed the law? Oh, what different outcome you will be experiencing right now. London and Detroit. What if she was under biblical direction? What if she just followed the law? Being modest. Not dealing with anyone. Should be alive right now. And that's the direction of Surreal Sundays. We're going to bring out topics on the bullshit that we fall into. And then I'm going to pull out the law. What if you just followed the law? "17 years old dealing with someone that's 23. That in alone is off square. My people, as much as you don't want to do it, what if you just follow this law? What if you just followed the law? This has been Surreal Sundays. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to rock with us tonight, and we love you and appreciate for you for that thing. This has been Old School Exit 9. And remember, you are your brothers and sisters' keeper. And with that, peace.
Make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down. Better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you feel for this. Just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end. Just make sure you get in. It's your spirit warring with your flesh, trying to get the best of you. It's all in your head and in your mind. Can't let it mess with you. Trials and tribulation, that's every day. That's what we go through. Are you gonna face it? Stand up like a man. Tell me what you gonna do. No more complaining. Gotta walk blameless. Gotta be humble. You might not get famous. We go through changes. We go through phases. This my life story. Just flip the pages. Just keep enduring. Endure and keep the law. Cause you don't want it call. You could've still been out here lost. Woke you up to the truth, so don't sleep on it at all. Try not to fall. Try hard to ball. Can't let your guard down. Better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you sure you get in. Can't let your guard down. Better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this. Just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end. Just make sure you get in.
I'm standing up, I'm standing tall, ain't laying down, cause I'm standing on it. A pressure make a grown man mad, make you cry, don't it? I pray to God that life so hard, so I'm calling on ya. I gotta endure until the end, I know they counting on me. Just got some bad news, damn, man, they killed my homie. Hit him 9 times, he never saw it coming. Remember the last time, I think I saw you, bruh. Gave you a flyer with the knowledge, you didn't want it, bruh. Damn. I'm speak my mind, I'ma tell you the truth. It's hard on them, it's hard on us, it's hard on me, it's hard on you. I'm built for this, man, equipped for this. Might get killed for this. I pray you repent before your time is up, your time
Can't
is
let
spent.
your guard down. Better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this. Just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end. Make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down. Better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this. Just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end. Just make sure you